Hi everyone, welcome to our podcast. This podcast is presented by Sofia, Ana Maria, Santiago, and me, María Camila. In this new episode, we will be questioning ourselves and others about what do we consume and how does it arrive to our tables, our wardrobe, and our phones. In order to achieve this objective, we will be interviewing our families and friends to comprehend how people around us understand consumption. Then, we will analyze these answers based on what we learned in our class about globalization and some additional reading. Finally, we will conclude with a reflection about our agency on consumption around the topic of globalization and what we have all learned. Welcome and thank you for being here.
On one hand, consumption can be defined as the act of using resources to satisfy current needs and wants. On the other hand, according to Marx Juggensmeyer, consumerism is defined as this idea that increasing the consumption of goods and services purchased in the market is always a desirable goal. Behind this idea of obtaining these goods and services, there are several factors that come with it that impact the world socially, culturally, and economically. Consumption can be understood from different areas that go far beyond the action of buying them. Some of them are how that product or service got to me and what it implies that we are able to consume these products.
The first interview was to Laura, a 16-year-old student from Colombia. We asked her, "What do you consume?" and "How do you think what you consume got to you?" And these were her answers.
Well, I consume a lot of technology, specifically electronic devices, such as my iPhone and my headphones, which I use every day, my computer with homework, and my Samsung tablet helps me a lot with schoolwork. And, well, I believe those are the ones I used every day. How they got to me. Well, I guess I bought them through the internet. How they got to me. Well, maybe some parts, if not all, are made somewhere in Asia, I don't know where, and then they got shipped to the US and then shipped here.
Our second interview was to Nora, a 50-year-old mother. We asked her what she consumes and how she thinks those items got to her. These were her answers.
I buy bananas and lentils, and I buy them at the supermarkets Carulla and Jumbo. They're nationally produced. We have the right land and the right climate to produce these products.
The third interview was to Juliana. She is an 18-year-old student from Bogota, Colombia. We asked her about what do you consume, and these were her answers. In terms of social media, movies, series, what do you usually consume?
Social media.
And which social media do you use?
Twitter and TikTok.
What type of videos, for example, do you watch on TikTok? Who participates in those videos?
Like Get Ready With Me and of different concerts.
Concerts?
Yeah.
For example, could you name some bands?
Like Taylor Swift and Harry. A lot of them.
How do you think those videos reach or get to you, for example?
I think because I talk about it a lot and I search like for those type of videos in other platforms. So I think the algorithm my phone has maybe or the social media has of my profile suggests those videos.
Do you think you have any chance, for example, or agency, like any type of responsibility, for example, of choosing what do you consume?
Yeah, I think what I consume, but also what I share, maybe more that than what I consume, because I think if I share a video of a concert, people are going to be like, okay, cool. But if I share important information about things that, like my own thoughts or posts like that, I think it gets to more people and makes a greater impact.
We got very interesting responses. Let's analyze each of the interviews. First, I would like to analyze the interview from Laura, the teenager who talked about her consumption of technology. As expected, Laura, like any teenager, uses a lot of technology in her daily life. Being exposed to technology from a very young age made these now teens a lot more dependent on electronic devices than any generation before them. However, as evident in the interview with Laura, these young people are not aware of the origin of these devices that they use every day. They are not aware of the abuses that exist all throughout the production chain that leads to them having a cell phone in their hands. For instance, the reports of Samsung's major plants in India, Vietnam, and Indonesia that are violating minimum wage laws and engaging in forced labor and abuse, or the reports of one of Apple's most well-known suppliers in China that is using Uyghur labor in its factories. But how can we blame them? They just don't know, or do they? This huge increase in technology in young people has allowed for an immense growth in communications throughout the world. As said by the United Nations, this young generation is the most connected in history. Young people can now have information and knowledge with unprecedented speed about things happening all around the world. So this increasing interconnection makes it hard to believe that these young people just don't know where the electronic devices are made. And raises the question, do they know but are just ignoring it to still be able to use these devices in which they rely so much on?
Finally, as we have seen, products such as bananas and lentils are normalized, as we consume them daily, but we do not question where these products come from. Let's start with lentils. This food originates from Western Asia and has been cultivated for more than 8,000 years. Currently, the main producers of lentils are India, Canada, and Turkey. Lentils are an excellent source of vegetable protein, fiber, and minerals, making them a very nutritious and popular food all over the world. So, with this example, we can see that lentils, a product that we consume maybe every day or maybe 2 days in a week, comes from several places, but we have it on a table on a very regular basis. Now, let's talk about bananas. This fruit originated in tropical Asia, but its cultivation spread around the world thanks to Spanish explorers in the 15th century. Today, the main banana producers are Ecuador, the Philippines, Costa Rica, and Colombia. Bananas are an important source of carbohydrates, potassium, and vitamins, making them a popular and nutritious food all over the world. So, as we have seen with lentils and bananas, these products that we consume very frequently have been passing through a long process on several countries, thanks to globalization, to have it on our table on a regular basis.
We learned that youth and people from different ages can be part of production and consumption in terms of globalization. In the case of media, for example, young people have learned how to be part of this globalized world where they can access to different platforms, videos, movies, series, for example. Some authors that we learned, like Susanna Maria, Elizabeth Soap, and George Lipset, stated in their reading that youth are necessarily caught in this loop, in this movement of people and the mobilization for justice, inequality, and this cycle of production and consumption. Even though authors in this case were talking about justice and equality, as one of our participants established, she is also part of the production and sharing of videos that can be promoted among her friends and families. Experiencing globalization can also be part of the cultural entertainment and the transformations that global sharing with others have. Shared cultural experiences, for example, can be part of our new globalized world and can be presented from big and huge decisions that governments make, but also in the sharing or liking some of the different posts and videos we can all access from our phones.
To end this podcast, we would like to leave you with one last thought about how the role consumers have can influence the function and evolution of these chains. Consumers are the ones who decide what they buy and whom they buy it from, which makes certain brands more relevant and popular in the market. This huge opportunity of getting a variety of goods and services also comes with a big responsibility. It is important to be more conscious of the assembly chains needed to manufacture each product, considering who produces it and what it takes to make it. This will reshape the company's customers' decisions to support. Also, finding different ways to support local companies to improve their chances of surviving in this fast-changing economy. Lastly, finding ways to become more educated, speaking up, and challenging what isn't fair or right within these supply chains. It is impossible to say that supply chains will ever function under perfect conditions, but there is still a lot of room for improvement in other aspects, like the environment, regulations, working conditions, and paying wages.